The Henschel HS-123 was an all-metal, single-seat, single-bay, sesquiplane dive bomber and close support aircraft designed and built by the German aircraft manufacturer Henschel. With 250 built, it was primarily used by the German Luftwaffe, but also utilized by the Republic of China and Spanish air forces. The last biplane to be operated by the Luftwaffe, it was intended as a stopgap while the Junkers Ju-87 was being developed. However, it was only withdrawn from service in 1944 due to a lack of spare parts. Operating in the Spanish Civil War, the Second Sino-Japanese War, and across Europe and the Eastern Front during World War II, it earned the respect of the German forces for its ruggedness and ability to provide dependable frontline service. In December 1933, at the Luftwaffe base at Rechlin, the Technisches, the technical branch of the Luftwaffe, were testing two Curtiss BFC-1 Hawk aircraft procured for the Nazis by German First World War ace Ernst Udet for dive bombing suitability. Udet persuaded Hermann Göring, the newly appointed Reichskommissar of Aviation, to buy the aircraft after being impressed with their remarkable diving performance at the Cleveland Air Show. Dive bombing as a concept was highly thought of by the like-minded Göring and Udet, with aircraft working effectively as high-precision, very long-range artillery. So in 1933, when a request for a single-seat biplane dive bomber was made, Henschel responded with the HS-123, with their only rival being Fieseler, who responded with the FY-98. Henschel, located in Kassel, was best known as a maker of transportation equipment, including locomotives, trucks, buses, and trolleybuses. But with the rise of Nazi Germany, they, like all other German industry, were subservient to the fascistic regime. As Hitler put it, the future of Germany depends exclusively and only on the reconstruction of the Wehrmacht. All other tasks must cede precedence to the task of rearmament. Like all fascist regimes, industry became arms of the government, and just like Hermann Göring's personal staff car was built by Henschel, so would they be tapped to build Göring's dive bomber. This one at least. So on the 1st of April, 1935, the first prototype, the HS-123V1, flew. The overall performance of the V1 prototype prematurely eliminated any chances for the more conventional FI-98, which was cancelled after a sole prototype had been constructed. During testing, the 123 proved capable of pulling out of near-vertical dives. However, two prototypes subsequently crashed due to structural failures in the wings that occurred when the aircraft were tested in high-speed dives. But by the fourth prototype, improvements were incorporated to cure these problems. Principally, stronger center section struts were fitted. During its first public demonstration flight, which was conducted on the 8th of May 1935, Ernst Udet took the controls, stamping his name to the craft and promoting dive bombing itself. Later, he would boast of being the individual responsible for introducing dive bombers to the Luftwaffe. Indeed, Udet was an accomplished fighter pilot. During the Great War, his skills got him invited into the elite unit Jagdgeschwader 1, the infamous Flying Circus, under the command of Manfred von Richthofen, known more infamously as the Red Baron. Then, after the war, he worked as a stunt pilot flying for movies and in air shows. And he had a reputation for a rather rambunctious and boisterous personality, as well as having a Bavarian's appetite for alcohol and the company of women. No doubt he gave a good showing and produced much fanfare around the introduction of the sturdy little craft. Nominated the A1, the final production build of the HS-123 was 27 feet 4 inches long, 10 feet 6 inches in height, had a wingspan of 34 feet 5 inches, and a wing area of 267.5 square feet, powered by a BMW 132 DC 9-cylinder air-cooled radial piston engine delivering 880 horsepower. It had a maximum speed of 212 miles per hour at 3,900 feet, a range of 530 miles, a service ceiling of 30,000 feet, and a rate of climb of 3,000 feet per minute. For armament, it sported two 7.92mm MG-17 machine guns and could carry either a 550-pound bomb or a fuel drop tank under its fuselage, and a further two 121-pound bombs under each wing. As the HS-123 was intended to replace the Heinkel HE-50 reconnaissance and dive bomber, as well as acting as a stopgap measure until the Junkers Ju-87 became available, production was limited and no upgrades were considered. Nevertheless, an improved version, the HS-123B, was developed by Henschel in 1938. A prototype was fitted with a more powerful 960 horsepower K variant of its BMW 132 engine. This HS version 5 did not proceed beyond the prototype stage. A V6 prototype fitted with a similar power plant and featuring an armored headrest and sliding cockpit hood was intended to serve as the HS-123C prototype, but it was halted on the drawing board, but not without some success, as the headrest and slider hood were adopted into A1 production. Production of the HS-123 ended in October 1938, and the Henschel's Schönefeld and Johannisthal facilities repurposed. The aircraft entered service with Sturzkampfgeschwader, German Bomber Wing No. 162 at Schwerin in autumn 1936. But it was quickly mustered out in just the following year for the new Junkers Ju-87 Stuka, with HS-123s diverted to the close support units. At the same time, Oberst Wolfram Freiherr von Richthofen, Chief of Staff of the Condor Legion, received 5 aircraft that had been deployed to Spain for assessment as use as tactical bombers. Richthofen, a PhD in aeronautical engineering, had left the Luftwaffe Technical Service due to fundamental disagreements with Udet. However, he retained his position as head of development, but he was now tasked with the evaluation of aircraft under operational conditions. He found them unsuitable for their intended dive bombing role, having a small bomb capacity and short range. Instead, he used the HS-123s based in Seville for ground support, a role in which their range was not a factor, and where the ability to accurately place bombs was more important than carrying a large load. In his combat evaluation, he noted the craft had a remarkable resiliency in close support missions, proving able to absorb a great deal of punishment, including direct hits on the airframe and engine. So impressed with the 123 performance in battle, the Nationalists' force in Spain purchased the entire evaluation flight and ordered an additional 11 aircraft from Henschel. The Spanish called their 123s Angelito, Spanish for Little Angel, but with production in Germany halted and more Angelitos falling to attrition, in 1949 the last craft was lost. In 1938, 12 HS-123s that were originally ordered by Portugal were instead exported to China. Here, the 15th Squadron of the China Central Air Force Academy Group operated them against Imperial Japanese warships along the Yangtze River after the fall of Nanjing in 1937. At the outbreak of World War II, just 39 123s remained operational, assigned to Fliegergruppe 40, Lehrgeschwader II. Here they were committed to action in the Polish campaign. The Lehrgeschwader were mixed formation units, tasked with the operational evaluation of new types of aircraft, typically with the intention to develop or evaluate new operational tactics or practices. In this case, it was the development of ground assault under Major Georg Spielvogel. Operating from primitive bases close to the front lines, the HS-123s delivered their bombs with devastating accuracy. And its rugged, simple construction made it easy to maintain and reliable in field conditions. After the 8-month lull of the phony war, the HS-123 was again in action in the Blitzkrieg attacks through the Netherlands, Belgium and France, supporting the 6th Army as it smashed through from the 10th of May 1940. Often positioned as the Luftwaffe's most forward-based combat unit, the 123 flew more missions per day than other units, and again proved their worth in the close support role. With Ju-87 still being used as tactical bombers rather than true ground support aircraft, and with no other aircraft capable of this mission in the Luftwaffe arsenal, the 123 was destined to continue in service for some time. Although 123 numbers were constantly being reduced by attrition, the unit was re-equipped with the Messerschmitt Bf-109E fighter bomber Jabot variant. Unsuitable for crossing the English Channel, the 123 did not participate in the Battle of Britain, but their respite would not last long. In April 1941, 32 units were used in close ground support as the Germans swept their way to Crete. With the start of Operation Barbarossa on the 22nd of June 1941, the 123, although no replacement stock remained, was deemed still operationally fit. By now, just 22 of the 60 aircraft of the single Gruppe of the Luftwaffe that was dedicated to ground support were 123s, the remaining 38 being 109EEs. The remaining aircraft had been field modified with the main wheel spats removed, additional armor and extra equipment fitted, as well as mounting extra machine guns, and some had 20mm cannons in underwing housings. During the initial drive, the unit participated in action along the central and northern parts of the front, including a brief time in support of the fighting around Leningrad, and participating in the battles for Bryansk and Vyazma. They took part in the Battle of Moscow, and participated in operations in Crimea in May 1942, after which it operated on the southern sector for some time, participating in the Second Battle of Kharkov, and going on to take part in the Battle of Stalingrad. In the meantime, the small number of operational HS-123 continued to slowly dwindle via attrition. Even though aircraft had been salvaged from training schools and even from derelict dumps all over Germany to replace losses, the aircraft that had supposedly replaced the 123, the Ju-87, also started to be assigned to ground support units, leaving tactical bombing to newer aircraft. After taking part in the Battle of Kursk, they returned to Crimea, and there, during late spring 1944, the last serviceable 123 fell and was replaced by a Stuka. The last word on the 123 should be left to Wolfram von Richthofen, Commander-in-Chief of Luftflotte 4, who on the 4th of January 1943 lamented that the production of the HS-123 could not be restarted, because he believed the simple little bomber performed well in a theatre where mud, snow, rain and ice took a heavy toll on the serviceability of more advanced aircraft. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and leave a comment. If you want to see more like this, please subscribe and press the notification button. Cheers for now.